Teacher bar for meeting back another one. Yo, we'll be breaking down Meet the Grams. We're gonna break it down in chapters because it's several people Kendrick Lamar is talking about, and we're gonna label this chapter one, Adonis. Kendrick Lamar expresses in the opening verse the sadness he feels about Drake raising Adonis because most likely he's gonna turn into Drake. That's why he says it takes a man to be a man. If your father has an all-time feminine attribute, what can he really teach you? Kendrick continues to say, your dad is not responsive. Him using the word responsive led me to believe he's alluding to the fact that Drake isn't receptive to a lot of his own antics and how he's being a culture vulture. So keep in mind receptive because that's what basically he meant by responsive. Because Kendrick then went on to say, I look at him and wish your grandpa would have wore a condom. That line was strictly because when you're creating a mixed or biracial household, it can cause confusion because not only is there identity issues, but there can also be problems that are passed down generationally. Just look at the hairstyles Drake has his white son in. He solidified my statement with, quote, I'm sorry you gotta grow up and then stand behind him. Meaning that your protector isn't really a man, so you're always gonna be unsafe. And once again, Kendrick is feeling sorry because it's truly a sad situation because a child is innocent and they really have no say in anything when they're being molded and grown. So if the person you have that's protecting you isn't even a man, that leaves you compromised and in danger. Kendrick Lamar went on to say, life is hard, I know. The challenge is always going to beat us home. This is the most self-explanatory line because saying he can relate to what Adonis is probably going through or what he's feeling like, because reaching the age of life is difficult. Life is a challenge, right? And it can feel lonely at times and you can encounter immature behaviors, other people that you feel like that are loved ones. You could feel like the family dynamics is crazy. Life is hard. Like it's a bunch of different things. And this is where I feel like Kendrick Lamar talking to Adonis as more of like a therapist, showing his relatabilities and how much he understands with him. When Kendrick said, sometimes our parents makes mistakes that affect us until we're grown. That's further solidifying my thoughts on him alluding to the identity issues that's most likely going to affect Adonis, right? By Drake constantly teaching him how to be, quote, a man, the character traits he'll be learning from is already a flawed product, a flawed man. Childhood trauma is something that can, will, or have affected all of us. And you don't realize it until you're really grown because most of some of the problems that you are facing in your life in adults, sometimes you can realize it stems from the beginning of your life. This also solidifies that Kendrick is having a therapeutic dialogue to Adonis, showing sympathy, understanding, relatability. He shows more sympathy, understanding, and relatability by even complimenting Adonis, saying, and you're a good kid that need leadership. Further solidifying that Adonis doesn't have the proper, quote, men around him because he's a child. He's innocent. He's always going to be perceived as a good kid. I mean, come on. That's why Kendrick went on to say, let me be your mentor since your daddy don't teach you. This was the nail in the coffin because what can someone that let all types of things happen to them and carry on around them like a girl can really teach you, you know what I'm saying, as a young boy to be a man? Or, you know what I'm saying? Not to mention all of the women drama touring, etc. He's always in. Kendrick Lamar goes into his mentor role by stating legitimate factual information about Adonis' father. First off, by stating, never let a man piss on your leg, son. Either you die right there or pop that man in the head, son. Calling him son because, like I said, I do feel like this is a song to where he believes that Adonis is his son. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, look, I'm trying to raise my son because Drake won't do it. T.I. confirmed in 2020 about the incident, but also Meek Mill publicized it in a song called Wanna Know in 2015 when Drake and him were beefing, saying, you let Tip Homie piss on you in a movie theater. Kendrick Lamar brought that situation up, basically saying any real man would have fought off or strictly off of pride, morals, values, like anything. Either you gonna shoot him, fight him, you gonna beat up, or you gonna get beat up, or you beat someone up, or hitting somebody in the head. Something has to happen after a nasty and distasteful issue or situation as urinating on someone's legs. Something has to happen. You can't just sit there and let that happen. And that's basically what Kendrick Lamar is basically teaching, a life lesson, a man lesson to Adonis, his son. Kendrick took a jab at Drake gigolo ways by saying, never fall into escort business, that's bad religion. Not only is he saying that Drake has sex workers and profits off of sex trafficking women, but he's also saying he does it religiously. That's why in Not Like Us, the infamous bar, Baka got a weird case, why is he around, is so powerful because if you tie that line into the line before, where I just read about the never fall into escort business, if you look at Baka's case, his case is forcing women into prostitution. Not only women, but also his ex-girlfriend. That the only reason those charges were dropped was because she didn't want to testify against him. Let that sink in. That's why Kendrick continues to say, please remember, you could be a even if you got, further solidifying the extremely feminine character traits Drake has. And also, just because you get a lot of women doesn't mean you're a man. A lot of men in this generation suffer from the same thing Kendrick is exposing Drake on. That's why I believe Drake fans, or a lot of his defenders or stans, are really upset at Kendrick Lamar because they have to make themselves look in the mirror. Like they have to look in the mirror when Kendrick Lamar raps against Drake specifically. Or most of the time when Kendrick Lamar raps, he raps in that type of way. Kendrick Lamar told Adonis, never code switch, whether right or wrong, you a black man. Kendrick is talking about the countless of times Drake has been caught speaking to white people in certain types of mannerism, professionalism, but when it comes to black people, he overuses the N-word, try to act a little more ghetto or black American, tries to fit in by saying these statements or what he thinks in his mind is a black man. I do disagree with the line that Kendrick called either Adonis or Drake as a black man, but that's why he said that whether right or wrong, meaning that if you feel that you're that way, don't switch up. If you feel like you're a black man, don't change in front of other races. You know what I'm saying? That's just come on, that's like code number one. In my opinion, a white mother cannot birth a black man. That's why identity issues plagues biracial kids in America and sometimes all over the world. Kendrick gives more advice, but also alludes to Drake's stomach surgeries, weight issues, and more by saying, even if it don't benefit your goals, do some push-ups, get some discipline. Of course, using push-ups because Drake dropped a diss song begging Kendrick to drop and do 50. But Kendrick highlighted the hypocrisy, because 9 times out of 10, Drake can't or don't do push-ups because he lacks discipline and rather take the shortcuts like he's done most of his career. One of the shortcuts Kendrick Lamar is alluding to is what he followed up with the line saying, don't cut them corners like your daddy did, f what Ozempic did. Kendrick does a great job of conveying that this will be heard by Adonis when he's older, using Ozempic in the past tense. Because in current history, it's a shot that is taken by a lot of major celebrities, alluding to or allegedly used by Ice Spice, 50 Cent, Busta Rhymes, and a lot more. They've all lost a drastic amount of weight in such a short and unnatural time. Drake is someone who looks the same way, or if you look at pictures of Drake when he had these fake abs all of a sudden and was boxing and doing all of this like physical stuff, it looked very unnatural. Also telling Adonis, don't just follow the trend. It might not benefit your goals, but take some time. Learn discipline through hard work. Kendrick continues and doubled down by saying, don't pay to play with them Brazilians, get a gym membership. Meaning that Drake is pay to play type of guy, doubling down on the sex trafficking rumors, but also multiple entendres because Drake has been known to pay for women's BBLs, Brazilians butt lifts, in order to satisfy or continue to have romantic relationships with the women that he likes. Telling Adonis to go to the gym, get a membership, meet a woman in a more casual setting to where most likely she has a real body because she's naturally working for it, and you can too. That's the type of advice Kendrick Lamar is giving Adonis. 9 times out of 10, Drake isn't giving those advice to Adonis. Kendrick ends his Adonis therapy session with more gut-wrenching truth about Drake, saying, understand no throwing rocks and hiding hands is law. One thing Kendrick doesn't like that Drake does is sneak diss. In Euphoria, he says, I hate the way that you sneak diss. If I catch flight, it's going to be direct. This was the point out countless of times Drake has subliminally dissed Kendrick with a bunch of lines that only Kendrick would understand. Because Drake is the type of person that disses people with only disses and verses and bars that only the person that it's sent out for would understand. So him trying to do these tactics, and then when you address him, he plays victim like 20v1, 20v1. No, you were 20 rapping against a whole bunch of ones. Like, you was rapping against mad people subliminally talking about their lives or talking about their wives in different songs. It's about different people. Like, his songs are not just his songs. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's really sending shots to a lot of artists. And Kendrick was someone who was getting those shots for a lot of years. And I mean a lot of years. Kendrick shows Adonis how Drake sees his mom by saying, "Don't be ashamed by who you with. That's how he treats your moms." It's clear as day Drake is ashamed of having impregnated a porn star. That's why he's never been seen with his son until Pusha T exposed him. That's also why Drake won't be with his baby mom or wife his baby mom or even be seen consistently with his baby mom unless it's a quote-unquote holiday. Keep that in mind, holiday. These are attributes that are horrible for a male child or a young child to witness, grow up with early on, because those attributes can be taught and then be put within him, and then he'll have to learn how to take all of those stuff away as he gets older. That's why Kendrick said, "Don't have a kid to hide again, be sure," alluding to Drake hiding not just Adonis, but another child. The child that he says further on in the chapters will be talking about Drake's daughter. Kendrick then went on to say, 5% will comprehend, but 95 is lost. Meaning the countless of sheeps in this society that are just playing the simulation. You know what I'm saying? 95%, but 5% is also called the 5% nation and the 5%ers, basically African American nationalists that are inflicted or influenced by Islam. This line could mean so many things, but one of the things I do realize is that the 5%ers, they have a dislike for Jewish people. So him saying the 5%ers would understand what Drake really is or who he's being protected or funded by is very interesting. But it's even more interesting because the person that is signing Kendrick Lamar and Drake, or that's under their umbrella, would be Lucian Grange, which is a Jewish man. And if you break down the 5%ers, it would further explain the lyrics. The 5% concept is that 10% of the world are ran by elites and their agendas, and they also know the truth, and their job is to keep the 85% of the world in pure darkness and ignorance under their controlling thumb. The remaining 5% are those who know the truth and are determined to enlighten the 85%. The 5% would also understand that this is deeper than just a rap battle. This is a cultural, spiritual, ancestral, and a systematical battle. So this is a very interesting line here. Kendrick continues to say, "Be proud of who you are. Your strength comes from within." Telling Adonis to love himself, because it's pretty obvious Drake doesn't, or shows major signs of not being proud of who he is because of his obsession with this chameleon, every culture, race, tactics thing that he's obsessed with. The strength comes from within. So finding yourself through self-reflection, self-awareness, this is the key to true self-care and self-love. Once again, Kendrick is being a legitimate therapist to Adonis. Kendrick also says, "A lot of superstars that's real, but your daddy ain't one of them," alluding to the fact that not every superstar is fake, wicked, twisted as Drake. This could be also a line alluding to J. Cole, because he's the polar opposite of Drake in terms of being a superstar. I mean, obviously he's a superstar too. Drake and him is a superstar, but in terms of being himself and being authentic and real, that's something that Drake isn't. Who he truly is something that J. Cole represents is real. So apologizing in the middle of a battle, that's pretty real if you're a real authentic to who you actually are. So that battle wasn't for him. Kendrick ends his therapy session with Adonis by telling him, "And you nothing like him. You'll carry yourself as king. Can't understand it right now? Just play this when you 18. Giving him grace, because once again Adonis is an innocent child who Kendrick knows will be nothing like him, because 9 times out of 10 if he doesn't listen to the song before 18, he'll listen to it past 18, where he would have probably seen these antics or tactics by his father and also come into a better understanding of life and what everything Kendrick is saying, because Kendrick is someone you kind of have to have a little bit of a brain. You can't just be someone that's like ignorant or like that's just not conscious of lyrics. You know what I'm saying? You kind of have to think deeper than the average norm, or just think deeper in general. You'll carry yourself as king is something prideful, moral, values, respect, dignity, things that a man should teach a younger man, right? If you want to raise a man into being a boy into being a man. And that's what Kendrick Lamar is doing. He's really gave him the best pep talk, the best advice, the best lessons that I'm pretty sure Drake wouldn't have taught his son. Like, I just honestly don't, just the way Drake carries himself, there's no way he's having these types of conversation with Adonis. So when Adonis hears this when he's 18, it'll make so much more sense, because he probably wouldn't understand it right now because he's tied to his father. And if you also look at, remember the 5% line, if you look at your keyboard, fun fact, your keyboard above that is a percent a percent symbol. So that's a funny little thing that I just picked up on while even recording this video. That'll be it for this part of Meet the Grams lyrics breakdown. We will be doing Dear Sandra next, where we uncover Kendrick Lamar speaking directly to Drake's mother. Hit the like button, comment, let me know how you feel and what I've missed or overlooked, or if I'm 100% on point. It's been your boy, Alphamediaroom. Peace.